All the networks carried the new King Charles's address live. These are the same networks that refused to carry President Biden's warning about American fascism. Welcome to MOMocrats MOMochat, part of the DemCast family of podcasts. I'm Donna Schwartz Mills with Karoli and Aliza Worthington of crooksandliars.com. And I guess, we alluded to King Charles III. Let's get that out of the way. The Queen passed away yesterday. It is interesting from the point of view that, it's probably a lot easier to explain to Americans than what's going on in our country.
Right.
And the pomp and circumstance is, the cameras love it, the soap opera aspect with Harry and Meghan and everything.
I just got an email that Harry was the first to leave, the last to arrive and the first to leave, proving there's still a rift.
That's such crap.
I roll. I mean, maybe there's a rift. Is it my business? Not really.
Does it impact us? I mean,
not really.
My husband and daughter are both British citizens, American
right.
citizens, but they don't care. So at the same time, it is very weird because, all of us grew up with Queen Elizabeth.
Right.
And none of us is so old that we can't imagine a time before her.
Right.
So, it's weird. It's weird when we go over there, the money's going to change. The stamps are changing, their national anthems changed.
Okay, that's weird. I mean, not the national anthem. That seems okay, but thinking about the money, that is weird. Like they have to remit all their money.
The post office boxes all have her initials on it. Those are
all
changed.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Interesting. These are things I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
So that's
the stuff that's like fascinating to us, right?
Right.
Right. So these are actually kind of daily reminders to all the people who live there.
Yeah.
That's going to be sort of a jarring thing. I mean, I'm not that necessarily a lot of people are going to care or be impacted, but it's going to be like in their face a lot.
But for the networks to fly about half their staff to London for the next 10 days, it's crazy.
Mind-boggling.
American media is appalling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is absolutely mind-boggling. And these are the same news executives that refused to carry a very important speech because
by their own president.
By our own president, where we have this issue where right-wing fascists, people who would suppress the vote and turn over the vote and making up lies and insurrecting. I mean,
I know.
Not just would, they're in the process of doing it. They have people in place to do this. They're training their poll workers to wreak havoc. They're training, this is not just a theoretical thing.
No, where was that? Michigan GOP?
Yeah.
Training its poll workers to break the rules.
Yeah.
To search out fraud.
Translated, invent fraud where none exists.
Create fraud where it doesn't exist. To throw wrenches into the works, just basically, even if they're not creating fraud, they could, under the auspices of thinking they've seen something, slowing down the process, putting, pouring, molasses into the gears, whatever they can do, even if it's not technically illegal or blatantly lying. I blinked when that one happened. Let me, they can find way. They're being encouraged and told.
Right. Is it Virginia that just appointed a 20-lawyer task force to look for election fraud when there hasn't been any in Virginia?
I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, they have Youngkin there. I mean,
And,
Isn't he the one that did the ad where, he had the gun pointing at a guy at a teenage suitor, or was that a different?
I'm
I
sorry,
don't
I
know.
got a text I had to answer.
That's okay. Or maybe that was probably Kemp. But
at this point, it's kind of hard to tell them all apart.
I was
They
going to say, just mix them all up together.
They get their marching orders every day, and then they start issuing the same talking points every day. Yesterday, they were all talking about how, the Democrats are in control and, criminals are not being put in jail, which was hysterical because everybody kept saying, well, that's why we want to put Trump in jail, right?
Yes, certain criminals are in jail.
We're doing the best we can to prosecute criminals.
Yeah, we're trying. If they would answer subpoenas.
Yeah, so that talk.
Speaking of criminals,
Yeah.
we're not saving that bit best for last, are we? I mean, I'm just thinking about criminals, and I'm thinking about Steve Bannon's perp walk.
I was going to say, does his name rhyme with Schmeev Schmannon?
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of here on the West Coast, we woke up to that image.
Oh, how nice!
Steve Bannon in cuffs, being perp walked
to the judge, and it was delicious.
Ranting.
He was released on his own recognizance or whatever. No bail. He's not in jail yet, pending the trial.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was still worth. Well, he'd no bail because he surrendered. I mean, he went and voluntarily surrendered, so that's why. But okay. I mean,
I guess he's not a flight risk. I don't know. Did they take his passports?
I think they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he'll probably just sail away with his Chinese pal. But who knows? Get him out of this country. That's all I got to say. I mean, he is the biggest shit disturber ever. I mean, the stuff that he says on his podcast is just scary. I mean, it's really. I feel like that he's so seeped in alcoholism that he's kind of always just the ranty old drunk guy.
Well, I was reading a very, very disturbing article this week. I've been catching up on my old Vanity Fairs.
Uh-oh.
And there was an article about the youth movement on the right wing, where the people who are like the philosophers, the people who are popularizing these fascist tropes, originating these fascist tropes, and this journalist embedded himself among them, and was uncritical, it seemed, in what he was writing, and it was just a terrifying article because they want a monarchy.
Yes. Actually, they want a dictatorship.
I was going to say, a monarchy sounds positively benevolent compared to what they.
Well, a hereditary dictatorship, a monarchy.
Yeah.
And he had Teal, he had Blake Masters, and this is before Blake Masters and JD Vance, before they won their primaries. And they had the guy that is actually giving Teal his marching orders, some guy named Jarvin or something. I'm gonna have to go get the article.
Yeah, I'm curious now.
It's terrifying, and this is from months ago.
Yeah,
and it's hip and cool to be a right-wing intellectual now in New York.
I wonder though how many. I wonder how many are really invested in that, because that is. I mean, it strikes me that you could be in a little cabal, with these people and feel like, oh, everybody, all the youth of America is turning into fascists, but really it's just this limited kind of subset.
Right, but he's feeding the information to Teal and to Tucker, and
Right.
he's their big thinker. And
yeah, big thinkers in quotes. I mean, I remember the big thinkers of our day too. Where are they now? There's not many of them left.
no,
And the ones that aren't relevant. I guess I'm just trying to say that sometimes the thinkerati in New York, it makes it look bigger than it actually is.
true.
So
I'll send you guys the link to the article. I'll put it up on Facebook, but
I really think that it's only popular or trendy to be right-wing fascist intellectual if those things can coexist with intellectualism. That only if you're young white male.
Well, there were
and in New York, New York City, that's not the majority.
No.
Right.
No.
I mean, it might be the majority of the wealth, but it's not the majority of the population.
Majority in the Bowery.
Right. Yeah. And they're going to find, and as they have been finding, there's also, they're not going to get laid. There's
that too.
That was the big thing. They were all whining, and they're still whining. They're whining again about only now there's a veneer of legitimacy to their complaints because it's being written about in the New York Times about how difficult it is for them to have a social life, and
it's kind of hard to find a woman willing to have sex when
you're against her right to have birth control or abortions.
Right.
And because we're so judgmental now,
It is fun to see the statistics on how many young women have registered to vote since Dobbs.
So give me some numbers. Give me some numbers, or give me some. What are we talking?
So in Kansas, I think it was 70% of the new registrations post Dobbs were women.
Wow. Now, what about in Michigan? We just had a ruling that they're going to get to put it on the Michigan Supreme Court. Yeah, it was good news that they're going to get to put it on the ballot.
Last week we were talking about how, unbelievable it was that this commission would not put it on the ballot, even though it had like 3 times as many signatures as they needed.
Right.
And I said, well, the spacing in the text was wrong, and that's why they didn't put it on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
Stupidest reason ever.
Or anything. Yeah, it was the spacing.
So this week, the Michigan State Supreme Court said, nah, it goes on the ballot.
Yeah.
So that was a win.
And it was not even hard for them.
What the voter registration is in Michigan, or what the breakdown is in Michigan. And it's going to bring people to the polls. And again, as always, when people come to the more people vote, the more democratic the outcome.
Right.
The more democratic with a capital D.
Getting out the vote,
the outcome
is
benefits us.
Crucial as ever. I don't know if you're aware, Karoli, here in California, we're going to have a proposition on our ballot that makes the right to an abortion part of our state constitution.
Oh yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
So we
so
we will write
that's
that
big.
Yeah.
And it'll pass in California, I think.
Sure.
I say that with some reservations, only because things I think would pass in California, like getting rid of the death penalty, didn't pass. So that, it's all going to depend on turnout, and, but I do think in my heart of hearts that it will pass. But Cornell Belcher, who's a Democratic pollster, basically was on MSNBC a week ago, and he said all the models are wrong. All the poll models are wrong. He said they're not factoring in the young women that are registering to vote. They're not factoring in enough of the intensity of women. And I think he's right. I mean, I think that's not to say that we should be complacent. It is to say we should register as many people as we can to vote, in, whatever state we're able to do that in, because there is an intensity there, and we just need to harness it into voting.
There's a quote that's going around attributed to Joe Biden, and I don't, it's just a meme, so I don't know that it's true necessarily, but the quote is, MAGA Republicans don't have a clue about the power of women. Let me tell you something, they're about to find out.
It's a Biden quote. It
is a legit Biden quote. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that came from his speech or from a different, or
it was a DNC fundraising speech the other day, I think.
Yeah.
Hey, Dark Brandon is still.
Oh, he's going strong.
Dark Brandon is
great. I love. It's almost a comedy routine where he's calling out the Republicans who are taking credit.
Oh, it's awesome.
Structure things that they voted against, and he's laughing.
Oh, yeah, it's absurd. And he's going there. He's just saying. And when people heckle him, they're like. He's like, leave him alone. He's actually calling them idiots. I think they're entitled to be idiots, And I'm like, go for it. Just let loose, man. That's why that's the Joe Biden.
Yeah.
People elected. And then Republicans are crying. And, of course, they're like, he's name calling. He's name.
Just the Republicans. It's our fucked up media. Today. I got one today where the headline was that Democrats are now worried that Joe Biden is getting too popular, so they won't pass the baton to someone younger in 2024.
That has to be the pitch bot. Was that the New York Times pitch bot, or was that a real thing?
That was Puck.
Oh, well, Puck's just about as bad as the New York Times, so yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Who's Puck? Who's this person?
It's like a bunch of writers that are doing a Substack, and they call it Puck, and it's Julia Iufi and a few others. I don't remember.
Some of them are good writers.
Yeah, some of them are good writers, but they're all clickbait.
Very good reporting on what's happening at CNN, and that's why I said, "Oh, I'll take a look at this."
Well, it sounds like they don't have a solid grasp, though, on that side of reality, because that's
drumbeat. All of these reporters have this drumbeat, saying Democrats don't want Biden to run anymore, and they're just.
But the funny part of that is,
go ahead.
The funny part of that is that was a big thing when his approval ratings were down. Now they're up, back up to where they are. And I swear to God, I saw the New York Times say something like, now Democrats aren't saying whether they want Joe Biden to run again. It's like
some of us are.
Yeah, many of us are.
Yeah.
I want him to run again. If
I thought John Cole put it.
He can have it.
That's right. John Cole put it really well. He said, he was like my 8th choice in 2020, but I went with him, and he's done more in the 2 years he's been here than any president, any other one in my lifetime legislatively. And if he wants to run again, God damn it, he will run.
Has been amazingly effective.
Yeah.
All that time in the Senate and his time as vice president, there is something to be said for experience.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unlike these awful young Trump judges who don't know what the hell they're doing.
So in this one area, I do feel like we need to push Biden on the courts issue after the midterms, because the federal courts are corrupt. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. They're corrupt all the way up to the Supreme Court.
What we're talking about is expanding the courts, because he has been nominating a wonderful, diverse, and competent range of justices.
And he's gotten them approved,
There's a whole bunch right now that the Republicans are blocking, but he's.
Yeah, but I mean, he's going to have to expand the court at some point. Hopefully, we expand the Senate, and that will allow us to expand the court, because
that's
hold the House. Yes. So because the courts are corrupt, and there was no greater evidence of this than the ruling that the judge in Florida made as far as a special master for DOJ documents, which they seized under a legally obtained search warrant.
Yeah.
And I mean, so the gist of the ruling was that she wanted to appoint a special master for everything. And her reasoning was utterly illogical. I mean, it made no sense. It was.
Can I go down to the level where I ask you what a special master would have done? What is a special master and what do they do?
So yeah, so a special master. I don't know if you remember when Michael Cohen was arrested and they seized all his hard drives and everything.
Yeah, I remember that, but I didn't know then what a special master did.
Okay,
either.
So they got a special master, and that the purpose of that was to sort out what was attorney-client privilege from what wasn't. So and that's what a special master is supposed to do, and that's why, by the way, in this case, it wasn't necessary because they'd already been through. The filter team had already been through. That was part of the conditions of the search warrant, were that there would be a filter team who would filter before the FBI got anything. And they would filter out anything that was attorney-client privilege or personal health records or any of that stuff and set that aside. And they did that.
Yeah.
Right. And so the FBI just.
The documents that they want to look at are not Trump's property. He stole them.
Yeah.
He has no claim of executive privilege because he's not the executive anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, she cited the Nixon ruling as a reason to give him that right, which was like, what?
He didn't have the right in the Nixon ruling, did he?
No.
And there was so much wrong with that ruling, starting with the fact that I mean, the whole executive privilege thing was like, wait, it doesn't apply to him. And she as much as admitted that, but said that he might suffer reputational harm. And I mean,
reputation could get any worse.
Cry me a fucking river. Oh, did I say the F word first?
You did. You get the prize.
But I mean, seriously, reputational harm, how is that even a thing in this? Right? If you steal confidential documents and you take them to your beach house and you put them in a closet and you maybe keep some in your drawer of your office, guess what? You're gonna, when you get caught, your reputation
deserves harm.
Not
right.
Just confidential documents. We also learned this week that the nature of of at least one document's nuclear secrets had to do with nuclear capability of another country.
Anyone want to guess which country?
It could be Israel.
I have three.
That was my first one. Was Israel I'm betting Israel.
My first thought was Israel, and then I thought Iran, and then I thought North Korea. Those were the three that I thought it could be. North Korea, because he had such a special relationship with them.
Love affair.
Yeah.
Love letters.
So, I don't know. It could be any of those, but Israel was my first thought too. Yeah. So who knows?
I mean, it's just we're very interested in what we have on Israel.
The Saudis, you mean?
Yeah.
So he said, yeah, exactly. And I'm sorry, but Trump couldn't give two shits about Israel.
No.
So he would think
none of the Republicans do
about throwing Israel under the bus and selling their nuclear secrets to the Saudis.
Cares about Trump.
What did they get for that? What did Jared get?
He got $2
billion. What did he give them? What did the Saudis get for $2 billion?
Right.
That's the question.
That's the $2 billion question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And certainly, Israel's nuclear secrets would fit that bill.
Yeah, it would. I mean, I can think of a lot of things that that Trump could have gotten his hands on that would be really destructive to us. I mean, I'm thinking about, you think about Israeli nuclear secrets, you think about the spies that we have up in high places, and we've suddenly been losing.
Yeah. That they've already suffered, right?
Right. And so this Aileen Cannon's ruling, where she not only said, I'm going to grant the special master, and the FBI, the Department of Justice, has to stop its criminal investigation until the special master's work is done.
Yeah. I mean, that was just appalling.
Yeah.
Like, wow, what a payoff. What did she get? Well, she got a federal judgeship, I guess.
Federal judgeship.
When she was completely not qualified for, by the
Right.
way. I mean, she literally had no legal writings that I don't understand why any Democrat agreed to confirm her. They shouldn't have.
And about a dozen did, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I hope they learned their lesson.
I hope so too. I don't understand either.
Well, I think there's this is the thing with Democrats. So I think there's like this, well, they're his picks, we should defer, blah, 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 and they actually do think that way. Right. And then
not when they have declared total war on us.
Yeah, and not with unqualified candidates.
Times.
And that completely divorces the process from the impact these judges are going to have on the communities in which they are ruling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, we'll put a judge in a community and to make decisions over these people's lives. Like, federal jurisdictions are large.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing too. This particular judge is the only one in the court where Trump keeps trying to file things. And so there was
I wonder why.
News today that he filed this insane lawsuit against Hillary Clinton, James Comey, just about everybody he's got a vendetta against. And he tried to file it in that jurisdiction again, but because of the way the lottery system works with the larger district, she did not get it. So
right.
This is not the first time that he is judge shopped. The judge who did get it threw the whole thing out and said, this is ridiculous.
Not only did he throw it out, but oh my gosh, the quotes were just like knife stab after knife stab after knife stab. But
I gotta read it.
It is like amazing. I haven't even finished it. I've only read like 30 pages of it, but it's 65 pages of pure shade. Yeah. And calling him what he is, basically.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's at one point he said something like, they substituted reason, logic, and facts for pages and grievances, or something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
So
DOJ, was it yesterday that DOJ filed?
Yep.
Yesterday, DOJ filed an answer to her ruling.
Right. They requested a stay, basically.
Yeah, they requested a stay. And if they don't get the stay, then they will appeal it to the 11th Circuit.
Right. They didn't appeal yet. They just asked for a stay on the documents. See, the strategery here is that going to the 11th Circuit has a big risk because 6 of the judges on the 11th Circuit were picked by Trump, or nominated by Trump.
Plus, the Supreme Court justice who's in charge of that is Clarence
Thomas. So the DOJ is trying to thread a really narrow needle here and basically say, look, fine, you can have you can have your special master and do all those documents, fine, but this one subset of 100 documents that were in, that have classified markings, we want you to lift the stay on those.
And their reasoning, which makes a lot of sense. She said that the national security investigation could continue, but the criminal one could not. But
I see. Okay.
In national security cases like this, they're one and the same.
Yeah.
Right.
The FBI that does it, and you cannot have someone other than the FBI looking at these documents.
Right.
And so it's been fun watching legal Twitter and the legal pundits on TV because they have just been loving what, this filing. And
Right.
just looking at the legal language, what was written, they're going, "Oh, Merrick Garland got his best people on this one."
Yeah. Oh, good. Good. Yeah. Well, I mean, I have never ridden with the Garland bashers ever. You know,
I have. I feel like he has been
Slow walking.
yeah, he's been slow about it. But I also had confidence that he would eventually get there. But
I don't have the confidence to have a sense of how long this kind of thing should take and have it be effective and
Exactly.
absolutely bulletproof.
The way I
So
see it
I don't
was such
I don't feel like I get to say this should be taking, he could be doing this faster and doing as good a job as he's doing. How do I know that? That's all. That's me.
I'll just say that just compare on the classified documents, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Reality Winner had one classified document that she leaked to Glenn Greenwald that then came back boomeranged on her. And the day it boomeranged, she was arrested.
Yeah.
And she was arraigned the next day, and she was taken away to jail and then tried and put in jail for 5 years. I mean, it didn't take that long, right? And there's a double standard. I mean, Trump is getting deference that nobody else. Yeah.
And it doesn't do any good, because no matter how much deference they give him, they complain that he's being, harassed.
Right. I mean, Keith Olbermann, who I can take in small doses, actually had a great rant in the middle of the week on his podcast that said basically, arrest Trump now while you still can.
Yeah.
And his point was that if we lose the midterms, then Merrick Garland will not be able to arrest him.
No.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the timing now should be because we're so close to the midterms, but Trump's not running for any office.
No, he's not on the ballot.
Why would we not be able to arrest him if we lose the midterms? Because Merrick Garland,
because he'll declare his candidacy, and then we'll have a political problem.
No, but
it's a political problem no matter what we do. So we should just do it.
Right. I mean, the thing is that Merrick Garland is not getting voted. I mean, Biden's going to be there for 2 more years after the midterms. Merrick Garland isn't going anywhere.
If the Republicans win the House in the midterms, they are going to do investigations.
I know. I know all that. I know they're gonna be hell. There's gonna be hell to pay if they win the midterm.
They won't fund, if they get the House, they won't fund the DOJ. They'll defund it. Yeah. And everything. I mean, those are the kinds of things they'll do. So there's real
law and order Republicans are going to defund the police.
They want to defund
right, and that's what we're saying now. By the way, hello. Yeah. I mean, we should be saying that they've already threatened it. We should be reminding everyone they were the law and order people that were mocking us for saying defund the police, and now they're saying they want to do that. So that's a thing. But I mean, I'm just saying it will be a different environment, and I am, as an American citizen, pissed that man, who was also a private citizen, had 100 classified documents, some of which were very sensitive, and he's still walking free. I just don't get that. I honestly.
And we don't know what's in his other residences.
Right. But
we have no way of knowing who he showed those documents to. We don't know what was in the empty folders.
Right. Yeah, that's a big mystery.
Now, maybe the other documents they've got were in the empty folders, but that's part of what the investigation is, trying to figure all of that out.
Right.
You mean they might have, the ones that are empty might be empty because they pulled them because of executive privilege when they went through them?
No, that when they got everything in boxes and they were like all over the place, and there was no organization. They had classified documents next to medical records and his passports and stuff. So he could have taken it out of the empty folder and put it in his desk the folder is empty now. You know,
Did they searched his desk and everything, right? Like they searched
they
everywhere.
got at least 3 classified documents out of his desk.
Yeah. Those were the top secret.
Right.
You know, yeah. So, I mean, to me, I get that it's a problem. I do. But at the same time, there has to be some consequences that are similar for everybody in this country, regardless of who you are.
Yeah.
When it comes to that stuff.
And it's not an accident he took them. It wasn't like, oops.
Right.
No, he had to work at it.
Mm-hmm.
Those documents, from the way John Brennan was talking about when he was head of the CIA, and the kind of documents these are, when he had to look at it, he would have to look at it in a safe.
Right.
And Hillary Clinton talked about when she had to look at it, somebody would come with a locked briefcase handcuffed to his arm, and he would stand with her while she looked at it and then make sure that she gave that document back, and he locked that back up and took it back to where it's stored.
Yeah.
Okay, the kind of documents these are, he shouldn't have had just lying loose in the White House.
He shouldn't have had that kind of access.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure how he had that kind of access to it.
Right. He
but
had help.
You certainly don't have them, in your beach house.
Right.
And
he amassed so many of them.
Yeah. Sorry.
That erratic White House had no standards, no organization. He didn't allow anybody to put any rules on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
Yeah.
So, and this is now the consequences of that. And so it's time for him to suffer those consequences. And I do think that at some point he needs to be arrested, like soon. And for possessing, there's just no, I keep trying to think to myself, what possible excuse could there be? What possible explanation could he cook up? Knowing it's all a lie, okay? Right. But is there any, and I can't come up with one. I just can't.
He was back to the documents being planted, but
oh, well, that didn't happen. Come on. Also, I can't help. I just have to say, fuck every Republican, fuck every one of them for what they did to Hillary Clinton.
Oh my God!
And they're now defending this man. She had no classified documents.
Zero. And the private server was more secure than the one at the State Department.
Yeah, give me a break.
Right.
It was the server that she shared with the former president, and it was set up with security.
Right. And so, they destroyed her with that, or tried to, and they certainly destroyed her candidacy with it.
Yes, they did.
And to this day, his fucking crowds are out there yelling, lock him up, lock him up.
Lock her up.
Or lock her up, right? Yeah. So, every rally, that's a rallying cry. Yeah. Lock her up, lock her up. If that's not fascist, I don't know what is.
And he's back to these stupid
rallies.
Oh, my God.
Right.
Oz says enough crap.
That's enough. That can get turned into a joke.
This week, Oz said that he didn't think that people without health insurance deserve health care.
Yeah.
And he said some really crazy.
This is a doctor.
Incest.
This is a doctor. It's just awful.
A heart doctor.
A cardiologist.
Cardiologist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Cardiac surgeon.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why, he went into surgery so he could make, boku bucks. And, if you don't have health insurance, you're not going to be able to pay him.
Right.
Yeah.
So he won't be your doctor.
He won't be
no.
You can just die.
He just killed my grandpa. That's fine.
Careful
No,
now.
he didn't kill my. He just
Allegedly.
operated on my grandfather, and like really soon after that, my grandfather died. He never recovered.
Okay.
Whatever. So
Sad.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
Grandpa.
wow. I mean, I've never really encountered somebody in the medical profession I consider as evil as that guy. I mean, I really don't. It's like, how did Oprah ever find this guy and put him on the air, for God's sake?
Well,
I mean,
I can't imagine he was always this corrupt and horrible.
Well, he put on a good face. Let's
I
put
mean,
it that way.
he
When he was
I
he
guess.
must have had
trying
some
to make
standing
money
to
on
be a Columbia
television.
Presbyterian, and you know, he must have.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a top hospital.
Yeah.
And he didn't get there because of Oprah. No.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's kind of like Ben Carson,
Yeah.
right?
I
I mean,
thinking
Ben Carson is the same way. He's
brain
like,
surgeon.
Right.
Brain surgeon.
So
right.
it's not you know, a matter. It's a matter of what happens when you get a taste of, you know, the type of personality that, you know, is susceptible to that kind of attention and worship. People who worship at your feet is very consistent with someone who wants to become a brain surgeon, or someone who wants to become a top cardiothoracic surgeon at a top, you know. And then, you know, what happened, you know, when the fame, you know, surrounded them. And, you know, this is just me, you know, conjecture on my part. You know, I'm sure there was actual talent there in the medical field, you know, but the fame just overtook everything for them. You know, their need for, and their love of, you know, their self-involvement, which was always there. You know, it's part of what made them want to be a vaunted, you know, a venerated and celebrated surgeon at the top institutions, Columbia Presbyterian, Johns Hopkins, you know, where you're not going to find better names than that. And then, you know, so you give them a political platform and tons of love and worship, and that's, you know, to the tune of, you know, millions of people.
Great surgeons often develop God complexes.
Exactly.
And American surgeons, where we do not have socialized medicine, are used to making top dollars.
Yes, they are.
They don't tend to register with the Democratic Party because we want to extend medical care to everyone. Right. And they're fine as long as they can still get paid that way, but Medicare does not pay what Aetna pays.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they're perfectly happy with a corrupt, terrible system where you have so many people who are dedicated just to filling out insurance forms, and all the gatekeepers, they don't care about the gatekeepers because, you know, the ones that they get to operate on have been approved.
Right. And it gets them their 12th home.
Right.
As you know, as Fetterman loves to point out about Oz. That's something we can make a joke about, in a way.
None of which are currently in Pennsylvania.
None of which exist in Pennsylvania, right? Which is the biggest joke.
We should worry about Georgia too, I guess, because I don't understand it, but Walker is within striking distance on Warnock.
Yeah, what the hell?
And again, I just will say, without wanting to destroy any intensity that anybody's got about Georgia, I don't know that the likely voter models down there are right, but they're the polls we have, so we have to live within those constraints.
Now, there is going to be a debate now, right?
There's what?
Between Walker and Warnock?
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Well, I mean, there will be one. It will not be much of a debate.
He's not going to show up. Herschel Walker will not show up for a debate.
I think Walker's deluded enough to show up.
He's not gonna.
and offer his word salad.
I am betting you each. I am so confident that he will find a way to squirm out of whatever debate is set up, that I will bet each of you $1.50. Okay. And I will Venmo you $1.50 each if he shows up and speaks words. They don't have to be in any particular order at any debate with Warnock.
They won't
They
be.
won't be.
Good.
I promise you guys will be $1.50 richer. Okay, is it a bet?
Sure.
And if it
Yeah.
doesn't happen, you don't even have to give me anything. That's how confident.
And Oz is
agreed to a debate.
Oz
too.
has, well, that I believe.
Yeah.
He thinks he's got a God con. He thinks he can.
Well, yeah, Fetterman was the one who didn't especially want to debate, and I couldn't blame him for doing it because, and I'm just going to say that yes, under normal circumstances, I would say absolutely Fetterman should debate Oz, and it'll be fine. But I'm speaking for a person who had a stroke, and when you hit with all that stimulus, all the debate, the cameras, the lights, all that, and you're already working to put your words together the right way and not have something come out that's wrong
about it.
Yeah, and he said that. He said, I'll debate him, but I need a little more time, so it'll be in October or whatever, because I'm still working on this. And believe me when I tell you, a month's not going to make a big difference. He's going to still be working on it 2 years from now, 3 years from now. So,
and you know what?
But it doesn't. But
more of a chance to be an asshole about any kind of stammering or any kind of slowness of speech, and it's going to just invigorate. You know, I'm trying to be.
No, it's going to reinvigorate Republicans. And I think that's what I want to say is, again, fuck every one of them for that, because a stroke doesn't rob you of your intellect, and a stroke doesn't rob you of your ability to express yourself. It just means you have to work a little harder at it. That more parts of your brain have to be engaged to do it. So that's all. And it just pisses me off that they're trying to make the stroke something that he should be ashamed of, or, that he's somehow incompetent because of it. He's not.
No.
Give me a break.
I mean, look at Trump.
Exactly.
With his lifestyle.
But I wanted to go back to Georgia for a second, because do either of you think that Stacey Abrams has a chance?
Don't know.
I think she has a chance if
very, very close.
I mean, that she's got voter suppression working against her, for starters. And then she's got, and I don't know what their voter registration has been. I don't know what the polls look like. Does she have a chance? Yeah. I mean, she almost pulled it out last time. And there is an intensity there in Georgia for her that's great. And I thought Warnock would pull her over the line, because he won by such a decisive, he won by more than Ossoff did in 2020. So, but now I mean, with these polls, I don't know. And I do know that one of the attacks that Herschel Walker is making on him is that he wants to kill babies and shit like that. And I think that will definitely backfire. I'm seeing articles now about Republican women who were pro-choice, and until they were confronted with actually having that, pro-choice, and they're pissed.
Wait, I'm sorry. Finish that thought. You're seeing Republican women who used to be pro-choice,
who were pro-life,
who were pro-choice, and then they were confronted with exactly the circumstances that we've been talking about, like where the health.
Karoli.
They were
pro-life.
They were forced birth advocates until they needed to have an abortion themselves.
Yes,
many of those.
Okay.
Yes,
right. And they're pissed. They're pissed about the law. They're pissed that they had to go to another state to do it. They're not happy. And there might not be a lot of them, but I believe that the ones there are intensely angry enough to actually push some Republicans over the line on that
There
too.
may be a nationwide surge of female anger, even when it's not specifically on the ballot.
That's
right.
I mean,
And
that's
what
what
like that,
I
and
was
also
hoping that, that in Georgia, Stacey Abrams in combination with Warnock, that like she would energize and bring enough people to the polls to help solidify a win for Warnock.
That can
That's
happen.
my hope.
It's not being reported that way.
And we don't have, other than the one poll I saw on Warnock, we don't
much.
A lot of polling from there anymore. Like, I wonder about Beto O'Rourke in Texas and his bid for governor. We're not seeing any polls there either. So we're just going to have to fly blind and push as much as we can with postcards and whatever to do it. I mean, I feel like
so many frightening races. You've got the three crazy candidates in Arizona. You've got Mastriano in Pennsylvania. Gretchen Whitmer, I think she's going to be okay, especially now that this abortion measure is going to be on the ballot.
I think that Josh Shapiro has a good chance in Pennsylvania.
I certainly hope so, because Mastriano is awful. I mean, Charlie Crist in Florida. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Val Demings.
We just don't know.
Val Demings in Florida.
Val Demings in Florida.
Right. I mean, I think it's just a question of doing everything we can to get as many of our voters out as we can. And if we do that, then, I mean, we've done the best we can. We're just going to have to wait and see. And we're fighting the voter suppression and, the stupid laws about voter ID and all that. But, there's a lot of organization going on the ground, and we just have to be supportive of it. Yeah.
And not get cocky.
We can't afford that. When are we?
Right.
So David Atkins wrote a good article today, I thought, for the Washington Monthly, where he said basically when politicians actually do what they say they're going to do, there are consequences. And he used as an example all, Biden passing the climate legislation and the student loan debt forgiveness and all the things that he's done as being very energizing for Democrats. And on the other side of things, Republicans actually doing what they said they do with banning abortion, being very energizing
for Democrats. Yeah.
I love it. We've got about 5 minutes left. We haven't done this in a while. We talk about what we're doing the weekend. And other than trying to stay cool, because I don't know how it's been in Maryland, Aliza, but California has been baking.
We finally had a break. We finally, just a couple of days ago, we had some massive rains, and we have finally had, it's been in the 80s, which feels like fall to us. It feels, positively breezy, and Dave wore a sweatshirt to work. Well, I mean, although he's in a skiff a lot of the time, so it's freezing. But it's been a relief, and God, did we need it. We had so many days that were mid 90s, high 90s. But I'm sorry, you guys are getting it now.
Well, I'm sorry. It's going to end. It's going to end. And
is it in sight? Is it soon?
Yes. Here in Los Angeles, we've got a hurricane coming.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Hurricane K is coming.
Hurricane, yeah.
Yeah.
But, anyway, I've got some TV recommendations.
Okay, share.
Okay. One of them on Apple TV, Loot, with Maya Rudolph. Now, I don't know if you saw the news item that Mackenzie Scott just donated 2 Beverly Hills mansions to the California Community Foundation. And the mansions are worth $55 million. They're going to sell it and use it to build affordable housing. Loot, the premise of Loot is like based on Mackenzie Scott. And Maya Rudolph is the wife of a big tech magnate. She finds out that he's been cheating on her and there's no prenup, and she gets like $80 billion. And she starts working on giving away her fortune.
That's awesome.
And it's very funny, and it's Maya Rudolph.
She's
I mean, it's
so
really
brilliant.
good. So I've seen all of that already. I can't wait for
so
the
it's one
second
season?
So far, it's one season. It's been renewed by Apple. Over on Freevee, which you can have for free, and you can access it on Amazon Prime Video if you have that. I don't know if you've heard about Sprung. This one is also ripped from the headlines. It's a COVID comedy.
Oh my God.
It follows some inmates who were released early because of COVID. And they get into this world, and it's from Greg Garcia, who did My Name is Earl and Raising Hope. And it's got a wonderful ensemble, extremely funny. I've seen it up until this week's episodes. I haven't seen that one yet. And just if you like that quirky kind of sense of humor,
like
it
fun.
is wonderful. And then my final recommendation is that The Good Fight came back yesterday.
Oh boy.
Final season. And we were too busy watching the BBC last night.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But that's
when
there.
When is The Crown coming back? I want The Crown to come back.
Yeah.
Later this year, but the Crown's production company did issue a statement saying that they were
pausing.
They were
suspending
production right now in deference to
That's
the subject of their series, which is the right thing to do. But you know what? I just rewatched the episode about the coronation because I know more about my husband's country's custom Crown than he ever did. I'm explaining that stuff to him.
I'll bet.
That's too funny.
So those are my recs.
Well, we are watching since Murders in the Building, Only Murders in the Building is done for the season. That was great. We're watching Reservation Dogs, which we love.
I heard that's wonderful.
Love that show. And we're watching Kevin Can Fuck Himself, which is also great. Annie Murphy and nobody else I know. I don't know any of the other actors, but Annie Murphy was on Schitt's Creek. And she was also on she was also in Russian Dolls or Russian Doll. Yeah, in the second season of Russian Doll. So we're watching that, but we're kind of we're sort of over this, things have gone back to, we have to wait every week for things to come out. And we're like, what's
we're over that too.
Why can't we binge things anymore? It's frustrating. So
I know. We've been actually waiting. We've been watching the Amazon Rings of Power. The Lord of the Rings. It's really good. It's really good. And the best part of it is that, I mean, first of all, it's just triggered every winger on the planet because it's their cast is super diverse and it features strong women and, stuff like that. But we're loving it. I actually didn't love some of the Lord of the Rings movies, but I'm enjoying this.
Do you have to have a good working knowledge of all the canon to? Oh, no. Good. Okay.
No, if you did.
Proof that we don't just talk politics.
This is a pretty diverse group of shows we were just talking about.
Absolutely. And that kind of ends our hour. Join us next week at MOMocrats.buzzsprout.com, our YouTube channel, or find us on your favorite podcast service such as iTunes, Google, and Amazon Music. And be sure to check our Facebook page for updates. This is Donna Schwartz Mills saying goodbye for the MOMocrats.
Bye-bye.
MOMocrats MOMochat is part of the DemCast family of podcasts.